I just flew back from Utah, and boy, are my arms tired. Welcome back to the GymCrafter podcast, everybody. My name is Tim. I'm the head gym nerd here at GymCrafter.com, the website that I built to help ordinary folks like you and I build home and garage gyms that we absolutely love. And I've got a really cool podcast for you guys because, as I mentioned in the intro, I just got back from Utah, Draper, Utah to be specific, where I was out at the Force USA headquarters for the second time now. I actually went out there about a year ago to shoot content on the C10 before it was released, and they flew me out again this year to shoot some content on the C20 before it is released shortly. It's actually pre-order dates coming up soon. So I shot a bunch of content on that. I'm not allowed to post anything until the pre-order date, but when the pre-order date hits, which is early September is what it's planned for right now, you are going to see from me a detailed measurements video drop. So hopefully I've shot every possible measurement to let you know if it'll fit or not fit where you need it to go. I did a ridiculously long, probably my longest review or product overview ever. But because there's so much to this product, I really wanted to take my time and go through it and show you all of the things that you might look at it if you were looking at it in person. If you're looking for a shorter overview of that product, I already have that posted. It's the review I shot at Home Gym Con. It's about 15-20 minutes long. So if you're looking for a short version of the C20 review, that's it. This is going to be for those of you who are gluttons for punishment and like to watch me talk for a long time. But hopefully I covered every little detail of what makes the C20, and then I also shot a fairly long and in-depth comparison between the C10 and the C20. So if you've been waiting for the C20 to come out, but you're going back and forth between the C10 and the C20, hopefully this video will help you make the decision of which one is right for you. So that's the stuff that's going to be dropping in early September, as long as they don't push the release date. My videos will drop as soon as you can place a pre-order. So hopefully that'll help you guys make good purchasing decisions and spend your money wisely. I'll also be able to answer any questions you have because I did spend quite a bit of time. But as exciting as that was, when I got there, Ryan, my guy over at Force USA, and I got to tell you, this company is really, really good. That's the inspiration for the overall focus of this podcast, which is what makes a good fitness company. But Ryan, good guy. Everybody there's are good people. Really great company to deal with. And so he takes me in the back to their skunkworks area I'm calling it their skunkworks area of their warehouse. And I got to see some really, really, really cool all new products from Force USA that are coming out soon. So I can't say much more than a few things. Number one, wow, they are leveling up their game. They have absolutely listened to their customer base. They are releasing some really cool things that I think are going to be really sought after in a lot of people's home gyms. At least one of them, I'm like, I like that and want it in my gym. And if I had room, I might have one of those products here already, but maybe someday. But I did shoot videos on those. I will be dropping those on their pre-order dates. But like I said, keep your eyes on Force USA because they are coming out with what I think is some really, really cool stuff, unique in the space, and they've got Force's commitment to quality on it. And man, this stuff I was super happy that he brought me back there, and when I went out there, I'm like, I'm going to shoot the C20. It's going to be cool. Kind of already seen it at Home Gym Con, but I had a whole nother shooting list planned to shoot some other content while I was there. Some of you guys asked for me to do a review on their full size or their normal leg press hack squat, and I didn't get a chance to do that. I didn't get a chance to do anything other than shoot content on these new products. So I'm super excited to get all this stuff edited and out to you guys. But that's what I was doing out in Utah. And it's not just Force USA that are good companies. One of the things that I realized at Home Gym Con is that I'm starting to see some patterns in not only the good companies, but also the bad companies. And I spend an awful lot of time on this channel pointing out the stuff that I don't like about the fitness industry. If you look back, I've got all kinds of videos about things that I think people should do better, things that I think people stink at, products that I think are bad. And sometimes I feel like it's a little too negative. So today I wanted to take some time to go over 10 qualities that I think that the good fitness companies and the good home gym companies have, and they're exhibiting some specific examples of those, not only of the companies, but also some very specific examples of what that particular company is doing in that particular area. And then, because I can't be completely positive,
you guys suck!
I will also give you some examples of things that I've run into on the opposite of those good things, companies that are doing the opposite of those qualities and I think are really holding them back. And all of this stuff is going to be things that I have actually experienced hands-on with products and dealing with companies in the time that I've been running GymCrafter. So no internet rumors or anything like that. These are actual things that have actually happened. And so without further ado, let's get into the 10 things that I think make a good quality home gym company. And the first one is domestically based sales and customer service departments. Now, I'm not saying manufacturing. I think that in this day and age, it is cost prohibitive for a lot of companies to manufacture in their country of origin, whether that's Canada or Australia or the United States, and it becomes exceedingly expensive to do that. And if you want to bring out quality products at a reasonable price, then you have to end up most of the time manufacturing overseas someplace. And that's just kind of the nature of the ball game. So I'm not including that, but what I'm talking about is regardless of where you decide to manufacture, whether that's domestically in whatever country you're based in, or whether that's overseas, in my opinion, the good companies have customer service and sales departments that are in their headquarters. They're here in the United States if they're a US company, they're in Canada if they're a Canadian company, and so forth. And I saw a lot of that at Force USA. So as I was in their showroom, what kept happening as I'm shooting videos is that the salespeople would peek through their head through the door and they would come in and they would either record something for a customer or they would measure something for a customer or they would jump on a two-way video call to show something to a customer. And I just don't think that there's any substitute for that. You know, when I've reached out to companies before for information for videos, even just basic stuff. Like I remember two companies in specific, Major Fitness and GMWD. I was reaching out for some more specific specs because they not only had conflicting specs on their website, but they just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like some of the widths were like widths that it just couldn't be possible. And I remember calling both of them and it was literally just a call center in another country. And their only resource was the website. They have no interest in the industry. They had no concern for the company. I've dealt in call centers before. Odds are these call centers actually aren't even, home fitness call centers. They're just general people at a phone, and then you give them some ways, some resources to answer questions for customers, kind of like they have like an FAQ basically. And that's kind of the idea that I got from both of those companies, Major Fitness and GMWD. And I'm sure there's other companies that do this as well. But when you look at the flip side of that, when you look at Force USA, like I said, if somebody calls in, you're talking to the people in Draper, Utah, the people that actually, and it was cool because when I came in the morning, there were people training there. So all the folks that work there do work out. A lot of them work out in that showroom on that equipment. They could all tell me their favorite piece. They could all tell me what they liked and didn't like about different things. And there's just no substitute for that. And some other companies that do that, Rep Fitness is for sure one of those. Rep Fitness is, everybody I've ever dealt with Rep Fitness is actually, you could just tell by talking to them, have used at least some of their equipment, if not all of it. Fringe Sport's another one. You call the sales guys in Austin, Texas for Fringe Sport. Those guys are training in that showroom. They use the equipment. They shoot videos on that equipment. They know that stuff. So that when you ask them questions, they're not limited to just the answer on the website. So that's the first thing that I think makes a really great company. When you look at the overall reasons to buy at a company these days, there's lots of companies that make the same thing, right? And oftentimes it's the service that you get both during, before, during, and after the sale that make that a worthwhile company or not. So that's why that is number one on my list. Let's move on to number two. And I've already kind of mentioned number two, but that is not just the people that work there who lift, but the owners and the product engineers also lift. When I showed up at Force USA, the owner of the company comes out of the back and he's super excited, not just to see me, but that's not the big reason to be excited, but he was super excited to show me his favorite things because he's tall like I am. He goes, let me show you what I like about this and how it's good for tall people and the things we put in there for me because I like to work out in this way. And he was super excited about training on the C20 for specific things to his body type. And that was kind of neat to see. And you can see in all of these products that Force is coming out with, not just in what they've already had, but all of these new products that I'm going to be posting videos on are designed from the ground up by product designers and engineers and owners that actually lift and actually train. And I think that that's another mark of a good company. There is nothing worse than getting on a machine that just after 5 minutes, you go, well, clearly nobody's actually trained on this before releasing it to market. And that's the way a lot of the Alibaba stuff is. That's the way a lot of the Amazon only stuff is. But when I look at stuff by like Rogue, where their owners clearly train, when I look at stuff by, Rep Fitness, where their product designers clearly train, Bells of Steel, Kayvon, the owner, clearly trains. He's got a powerlifting background, I believe. Force USA, I just talked about. There's a lot of different companies where you can tell when you get on their gear that they actually train. Bulletproof Fitness is another great example of that. The owners they're developing products for their own gyms as much as they're designing products for your and my gyms, as opposed to what I call marketing only companies. And I'm going to talk about the same two again, but Major Fitness and GMWD. And just so I'm not picking on those two, I'm going to include RitFit in their early days. I won't include RitFit now. The people that I met from RitFit at the convention, they clearly use this stuff. They could tell me everything about it. You could tell that they've used it. You could tell by the features and where they've moved things. And you could tell by the changes they've made from their early generation products to now that those changes were made by people who actually use the stuff, who actually train. Whereas when you get products by companies, Jacked Up Fitness is another example where they don't train. Even though the owner gets up on the commercial and goes, I needed something to train on. Those people do not train. And when I've trained on their stuff, it's very clear that they have just taken stuff from Alibaba, slapped their name on it, and the people that design stuff just for Alibaba, those guys don't train. Those are just engineers someplace going, well, that's what an all-in-one trainer should look like, so let's make something that looks like that. And I've talked about this before, but sometimes a fun game is to type in all-in-one trainer or some other type of fitness machine or home gym machine into Alibaba and then start scrolling through and taking a close look. And all of a sudden you start seeing all of the things that just won't work. Like I've seen all-in-one trainers or racks on Alibaba where the J-hooks mount sideways and not forwards, so you couldn't actually rack a barbell on them. So there's stuff like that. But that's number two. That's something I think is really, really important, is when you're looking for who do I buy my stuff from, then look for companies where the people who design the products actually use the products. Let's move on to number three. And this will kind of dovetail into that, but that's where the product is sold. In my opinion, there are very few, if any, quality home gym manufacturers that only sell their stuff on Amazon. Now, there are some people who sell in both places. Like I can buy Titan on Amazon and on Titan's website. I can buy Bells of Steel on Amazon and on Bells of Steel's website. But both of those companies are actual companies, right? They're real companies. Again, they have those first two qualities that I talked about. They're good companies. There's other companies that only sell on Amazon. And in a lot of cases, you see all these different company names. A lot of times they're all just one big conglomerate and they're just throwing as much kind of stuff at the wall and see what sticks on Amazon. And while you can get lucky here and there and get something that's decent, and I know I'm probably going to see people in the comments now go, I bought from so-and-so who only sells on Amazon and they're great. And look, you can definitely get lucky, but that's what you're kind of risking, is you're looking to get lucky. And in my opinion, that's not necessarily the way you want to spend your money for your home gym. And while you might save a couple of bucks by going with an Amazon only company, you're sacrificing in literally probably every other thing on this list as far as what makes a good company. I mean, again, I keep a folder of all of the declined, I call it declined brand offers. So I get offers almost every day from companies who want to work with me and have their product on this channel. And I'd say 75 to 80% of those are Amazon only companies. So I thought I'd share with you some of these. So how do you know it's an Amazon only company and not aside from looking for a company website? They've got company names like Goymu Athletics, Aclure, WellFit, and then my favorite one recently, this is the best company name I've ever turned down, Banggood. So if you're looking for stuff from Banggood, they're only on Amazon, but I would probably stay away from Banggood. And that gives you a kind of a sampling of what I'm talking about. Those types of companies, and we all know who they are. Look, I know they've got 50,000 five-star reviews. Those are fake. I don't care what Amazon says. They can talk to you till they're blue in the face about how they're certified buyers. And that's all a bunch of garbage. There's no such thing as 50,000 five-star reviews. It just doesn't happen. So those companies I would stay away from. Again, you could get lucky, but I'd probably stay away. And let's move on to the next one. This next category is going to be something that you might not be able to tell, but it's something that I look for, and it's a way that I run this channel. And here's where you're going to see that I was not born with the gene that allows you to just just say things in a nice way to protect people's feelings. I can be pretty blunt sometimes, and I'm going to be pretty blunt in this particular category, and that is companies that want to approve review content before it's posted on social media. I stay away from 100% now. I just don't think that that's a good company to start with. When I look at companies like Rep, when I look at companies like Bells of Steel, when I look at companies like Force USA, I spent 2 days shooting video out in Force USA, and the only thing that they had to say about my content was, I can't wait to see what you have to say about our stuff, because they didn't even stand there and watch me shoot it. They literally don't care if it's positive, negative, whether it's got feedback for stuff that could be changed, and there's definitely some of that in there, or whether it's raving reviews or what, they literally don't care, right? They want honest reviews. Bells of Steel is the same way. Bells of Steel has gotten some brutal reviews on this and other channels, and the only thing that Kayvon has ever said about those reviews is thank you. Thank you for posting those. We now know what we need to do better. And when I work with companies, I look for companies that don't want to have a hand in the content. There are companies, however, that do want to have a hand in the content, and those companies I won't work with, and I'm going to give you a few of them. Number one is actually a company that I posted a review on recently, and it's Merake. I posted a review on their walking pad. The review is genuinely positive. However, when I went to post it, they're like, hey, can you send it to us first? Now, I ignored that. And I can tell you for sure, at least one other channel has ignored that as well. Joe Gray over at Gray Matter Lifting reached out to me, and he's like, hey, did Merake want to see your content before they... I'm like, yeah, I just ignored him and posted it anyway. So that's what he did. Neither one of us like working with companies like that. So I won't be reviewing any other Merake products here on the channel, just because to me, I want to bring you guys companies that are transparent, and that if they've got opportunity, like, look, you may still buy the product if little feature X isn't the best, right? So it's kind of suspect to me. The bigger kind of violators that I've dealt with, at least personally, the first one is Speedience. A lot of you guys have asked me for Speedience reviews. I've gotten a lot of emails about it because it's a lower price version of the Voltra, kind of. It's a lower price version of the Tonal. And aside from the fact that having used it at Home Gym Con, I'm just not impressed. The other thing is that they won't let you have to literally sign a contract. At least with Merake, there was no contract. They're like, hey, we want you to run it past us. But there was no, like, Speedience wants you to sign a contract that gives them exclusive rights to whether or not you publish your content or not. So I can tell you with 100% certainty that every Speedience review you have seen has been approved and edited by Speedience. That's why there's very little, if any, negative comments out there about them, is that they monitor all that. The real bad one, if you followed me for very long, you know, is Major Fitness. So early on in the game, I decided that I wanted to test some budget trainers in here, and I did sign a contract with Major Fitness. My bad, I should not have done that, but they were gonna send me a bunch of stuff and also paid me for my time. And I don't think that's a red flag. That's a discussion for another day. I'm thinking about doing a podcast on how exactly the YouTube affiliate marketing space works, because I think I know there's a lot of misinformation out there about paid reviews and whether or not the review can be trusted and things like that. So I think that's a topic for another thing. But I did sign a contract, and I have an email chain, which I may or may not share at some point, that says, hey, I just want to make sure you guys understand that I do completely honest reviews. If I find stuff about your product I don't like, I'm going to put it in the review. And they're like, no, we want that. Really, we want that. And then I wrote them an email where I said, I think it's 23. I said, hey, I found 23 things wrong with your product. How would you like me to say you responded to that when I post the video? So it wasn't like, hey, do you want me to put, I'm about to make a video that shows 23 really bad things about your product. And the response was, we do not want you to post the video because it will hurt our sales. I am actually past the point where I'm under contract with them. I was going to post that video with the 23 things. So for those of you waiting for that video, I've decided not to do that. Like I said in the beginning of the video of this podcast, I'm trying my best not to be as negative about things and to really stay more on the positive. I don't know that the details of what was wrong does anything other than just stir up problems. You guys know my feelings on Major Fitness if you watch the channel. I don't think you should buy it. Period, end of story. There's really no reason to buy their stuff at all. But that said, I know some of you will, and good luck to you. I hope it works out for you, and I'm sure some of you will get a good experience out of it. But for me, one of the biggest red flags about that company was the fact that they actually threatened to cease and desist, because I did the same thing with them as I did with Mareka. I'm like, I'm going to post it anyway, I don't care. And I got a letter from the lawyer the next day. So that could have cost me quite a bit of money. So I had to pull that content down, and I won't be able to post it just because I don't want to get, even if I'm within my rights, I don't want to get sued and things like that. So, but anyway, if a company wants to pre-approve content before posting, I don't think that's the mark of a good fitness company. The opposite of that, which is shoot our stuff, you let us know what's wrong with it in the video. And then the other cool thing is, one of the great things to do is look at companies' bad reviews and see if the company responds. All the better companies will look at that negative feedback and actually post right in the comment section, hey, sorry you found this. This is what we're doing to address it. This is what we're doing. You know, Force USA is a great example. They had an issue with their compact leg press where the safety catch broke off, and they fixed it right away. They emailed everybody who had it. They gave you the fix. They posted in the comment section that was noted in. This is what we've done to fix it. This is the time that it's fixed, and really did a great job of handling it. It's not that good companies never make mistakes. It's how do those companies handle the mistakes that makes them a good company. So like I said, I don't know that you guys would ever know that. If you ever are wondering about that and you want to know, I've had offers from every company at this point. So I can tell you who wants agreements and who doesn't want agreements, and who is at least whose reviews you can kind of at least trust a little more, because you know that that reviewer wasn't under contract to post only good stuff. And that leads directly into the next topic, which is, do the companies actually listen to their customers or not? And I can tell you for a fact that Major Fitness did not listen to their customers. They've had all kinds of issues. Their products have not changed. They have not made any upgrades. They have not made any improvements. They have not changed the quality of materials. They have not changed the design. They have not changed anything in response to customer feedback. And I want to give you guys kind of a non-fitness example of where this is important. So when you look at, I watch a lot of movies and I watch a lot of content on YouTube having to do with movie reviews, Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic. There's a couple other ones that I really like. And one of the things that they've been following pretty closely is the downfall of Star Wars and Disney. And without getting into the political aspect of that, because there's definitely a political side, what I think is the glaring thing there is that both of those companies stopped listening to their audiences, and in fact have started saying, well, if you didn't like the movie, it's your fault. There's literal statements from the companies that are like, well, looks like the audience is too dumb to understand this. You know, it's just like, really? So I guess I'm not going to watch any of your movies anymore. And that's why I haven't gone to see a Marvel movie. And I couldn't even tell you the last Marvel movie I went to see, because they just got so bad, right? I just did not enjoy. Same thing with Star Wars. I stopped going to Star Wars movies. I stopped consuming Star Wars content just because it's better to just watch the original trilogy again, right? And do that instead of watch some of this garbage that's out that's trying to cater to people who aren't the Star Wars core audience. And I think that when you do that, it hurts your company, it hurts your product, and you make a shoddy product, right? Like there's just no comparison of the Marvel and Star Wars movies that have come out in the last year or two versus the ones that made them popular in the first place. There's just, the quality of the product is completely different. And I think the same thing is true in the fitness space. When you have companies who don't listen to customer feedback, they don't make changes based on what customers are telling you, then they continue to make garbage product. And those are usually the companies where the engineers don't lift either. They're just like, we know better, we're engineers. I think that the companies that do listen are going to be the ones that you want to look. And it's pretty easy to tell the ones who do listen. And I'm going to give you 2 examples right now. So number 1, the Force USA C20, one of the reasons the C20 exists was customer after customer after customer after customer said, we want a 3x3 rack from Force USA. We like everything Force USA is doing. We understand they were the first people to make all-in-one trainers. We understand they've been doing it longer than anybody else, but darn it, I want 3x3 11 gauge steel with 1-inch holes. So they made the C20 and some other stuff. So it's really cool to see them do that. Another one, and this is conjecture, guys. I do not know this, but if I was a betting man, I would bet on this one. So ATX was supposed to have launched right after Home Gym Con. And they were waiting on some tariff issues to get resolved before they launched. They have all of their distribution in order. Like, they were ready to pull the trigger. And in fact, they were upset that they weren't able to have the trigger pulled for Home Gym Con. Their initial plan was to launch their US website at Home Gym Con and make it live, and you could start ordering ATX products. Well, here we are a couple months later and they still haven't launched. And like I said, if I was a betting man, the number one piece of feedback that ATX got was, hey, we want 3x3. Like, why would you launch a product in the United States without 3x3? And they started by doing something that I did too. I'm guilty of this. My first reaction was to tell you all of the reasons why you don't need 3x3. That it doesn't make a difference in stability, which it doesn't. Which it doesn't make a difference in, okay, so you can't attach some other company's accessories. That would matter if ATX didn't already have an awesome suite of accessories already there for you. Like, I could talk you out of wanting 3x3, at least logically speaking, but in the end, I think that if ATX is going to succeed in the United States, they need to do not what Marvel and Disney did, which is tell you why you're dumb for wanting what you want. I think it's important for them to just go, okay, this is what the customer wants, so this is what we're going to make. So to me, this is going to be one of the tests of whether or not is ATX as good of a company as I think they are. And do they listen to their US customer base and launch in a market as large as we are? Keep in mind, you could fit most of Europe inside of Texas, right? So we are a large customer base for them. So it would make sense to listen to those customers and launch with 3x3. Now, I don't know if that's feasible. Like I said, I'm just guessing, guys. But that to me is going to be the mark of a great fitness company if they do decide to launch with what all of the customers are asking for up front, which is 3x3, 1-inch holes, 2-inch spacing, and 11-gauge steel. And that brings us to the next one, which is when I look at the good companies, yes, they iterate on other stuff, right? They're always trying to make things better, whether it's things that other companies started with, and there's this large gray area of, well, if you make a squat rack, aren't you copying the first company who did a squat rack? And it's like, well, not really, but then there's other products that are like, you know, like the Fridge Sport Walrus, like that's pretty much a ripoff of other stuff, and you can do some backflips and jump through some hoops to convince yourself that it's not, but if you're being honest with yourself, it's a direct copy of the ATX Trinity Tower. Call it what it is, guys. It just is, okay? I'm not saying it's not a good product. I'm not saying that it's not a great price point. I'm not saying that you won't enjoy having it. But let's just call a spade, and it's a copy, right? And they might have iterated. They might have used, you know, thinner plates, and they might have moved the location of the little trolley thing in the back. I don't know that they made it better. I don't think they did. I still like the Trinity Tower better. But either way, that's iteration, right? And all companies do that. All good companies do that. But in my opinion, and what I see in the fitness space and what I see, there's like a core group of companies who are really separating themselves from the pack. It used to just be Rogue, right? It used to just be Rogue was over here and everybody else was kind of over here in this one kind of blob of companies. And now you're really seeing a lot of companies kind of move over with Rogue. And actually Rogue, in my opinion, kind of backslide because, call me crazy, I don't see Rogue developing a whole lot of new stuff lately, right? Like there hasn't been anything really new and exciting from Rogue since maybe the drop-in Rhino. I'm not a huge Rogue guy, so correct me if I'm wrong. I'm definitely happy to be wrong on this one, but I still keep my eye on them even though I'm not a fan, and I don't know that they've come out with anything that's been earth-shatteringly new. It's just more iteration on old stuff, but either way, for the longest time, they were the go-to for anything new that came out. They always came out with cool stuff. And I see companies joining them. You see Rep Fitness really coming out with new stuff, with this really high-quality bolt-on Smith machine, with their leg developer for the bench, with just a bunch of stuff with the Aries 2.0, with the Athena, with their rack builder on their website. They innovate a lot. Like they have a lot of cool new stuff. Force USA, I got to tell you, they were the first ones to do an all-in-one. And that's innovation, right? That's bringing a product to market that didn't exist before. So I think that your group of good companies are starting to not only iterate on old stuff and make it better, but really look for companies that are coming out with new stuff. Bulletproof Fitness is a great example. Really coming out with things that are new and cool and serve a purpose in your garage gym. I recorded a podcast not too long ago where I talked about it's nice to see a lot of these companies building stuff specifically for garage gyms, because up until now, it's been a lot of commercial gym stuff that's been tweaked for the home. There hasn't been a ton of stuff that's developed ground up for the garage gym, and you're seeing a lot of that now, and that's really cool. So I wanted to include that in the list of what makes me think of a company as a good quality garage gym company, in that they're doing this kind of innovation and not just iteration. Now, part of that is you have to decide how you want to compete as a company. And when you're looking at not just innovation, but also the iteration, just in general, making yourself better. And I think of Rep as a great example of this. They went from kind of a mid-tier and honestly lower mid-tier company, right? Like they made great benches. The rest of their stuff was kind of sketchy, right? Like their original barbells were kind of not the greatest, right? Especially when you compare them to what they have now. But they've gone a long way into developing their company. Well, what happens when you do that, and you see this with Titan as well, like Titan was always kind of the, well, I'm going to save some money, but I hope it works, right? Like Titan was just not, a lot of people call Bells of Steel the new Titan, and I disagree because Bells of Steel is head and shoulders better than the original Titan. The original Titan stuff was, unless you were buying a rack, outside of that, their stuff was pretty like made in the garage, right? Like it was not great. But they have come a long way as well. They've really put a lot of effort into making their product line better, into making their company better, into improving their company reputation. Well, what comes along with that is price, right? You can't continue to be the low price leader and innovate and iterate and make your stuff better and have product engineers that work for you and lift and have customer service and sales in this country and all of the stuff that I talked about. So I think that when I look at a company, I don't ever want to buy from the company whose sole purpose in life is to be the cheapest. And the one that comes to mind right now is Alibaba. There's a lot of people buying stuff on Alibaba and AliExpress. And while you do see the occasional success story online, or at least supposed success story, there's a lot of people getting ripped off right now. There are a lot of people who are waiting 8 to 10 months for their product. There are a lot of people who ordered something that didn't get anything that looked anything like what they ordered. Like there's no place to sue, guys. There's no place to go to. There's no customer service. There's no sales support. There's no returns. There's a huge shipping hassle. There's how do you get it to your house? There's gigantic shipping costs. And there's companies that aren't beholden to any of the US laws or Canadian laws or Australian laws. So they can literally show you one thing and ship you something completely different. They can show you something and make it look, they can sell you something that looks like, you know, a Rep Aries, and then you get it and realize that the cables that they use have a, you know, a 10-pound capacity and fray and the pulleys don't work and like, but it certainly looks like an Aries. So while, like I said, I know some of you out there have had good luck with that stuff, and that's what it is, luck. Don't use your 1 or 2 lucky purchases and tell everybody that Alibaba is the best thing ever, because it's not, because they are competing specifically on price. And whenever I look at a company and their only value proposition to their customers, we are the lowest price. We're the cheapest, right? We're the cheapest. And cheapest is a word I'm using intentionally. Yes, they are the cheapest, but they are not the best value. And I think that's what I look at when I look at companies is Rep Fitness does not want to be the cheapest. Rogue has never wanted to be the cheapest. In fact, I think sometimes that they made an extra effort to be the most expensive, right? So when you look at companies, I wouldn't look at companies who are trying to be the cheapest. Now, there are some companies in the middle. Fringe Sport and Bells of Steel come to mind, where I look at them as we're trying to be the least expensive we can be and still have good quality. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about I want to be the cheapest one, right? And that's just something to stay away from. You don't want the cheapest. So please, if you're out there shopping, please don't shop by price alone. And that's where these Amazon-only companies come in. That is the only value proposition that Amazon has, is this is the cheapest version of what you see in this picture, even though what you see in the picture is oftentimes not actually what you get, right? Like it looks bigger in the picture than it actually is. It looks smaller in the picture than it actually is. You can't tell the quality. You can't tell how long it's going to last, but it's the cheapest. So when I'm looking for a good fitness company, I'm not necessarily looking for the most expensive, but I'm looking for the company who never, ever says, we are the least expensive. And that will pair us into another thing that really drives me nuts that unfortunately you don't find out about until after it's too late. Just like the Alibaba stuff, you don't find out about it until it's too late and you have no recourse. There's a lot of people out there whose websites just aren't accurate, and in many cases are downright liars. And I'm going to give you an example on each side of this, just so you have an example of what I'm talking about, and also a company to stay away from. A lot of you guys ask me about Jacked Up Fitness. I continually say don't buy from Jacked Up Fitness. I will continue to say don't buy from Jacked Up Fitness. They're just not a good company. They don't make great products. It's okay stuff. A lot of the reviews you read are because somebody went from nothing and never having tried anything to that. And anything's better than nothing. So they're like, this is great. This is the best thing I've ever had. It's like, compared to what? So But one of the things that I do hear from people over and over and over and over again is that Jacked Up Fitness does not typically have anything in stock. Now, they will sell you something and give you a shipping date and not ship it to you for 6 to 8 months. And this is happening over and over and over and over and over again. And when I see companies who are just saying things on their website to get orders because they need cash flow, because the company's in trouble, that is not a good company to order from. So regardless of, even if they did make good stuff, like this one thing alone tells me that the company's in trouble. And if you don't have product to sell, but you're telling your customers that that product is available to sell, then that's a problem. I would much rather have the whole pre-order shenanigans that a lot of companies do now, which I'm not a huge fan of, but at least it's honest. Hey, we don't have these. We're not going to have them for a while. It's a cost savings for us to order more. So we're going to take pre-orders and gauge what our need is. A, so we know how many to order. B, so we can order enough to get as big of a discount as we can. But there's a lot of reasons for that pre-order thing, which are good. But I'm going to take it even one step further. I would rather see companies be super honest with their pre-orders, and I don't think they all are. Whereas like the Dialed Motion leg developer. Dialed Motion is being super upfront with their pre-order system. So if you saw my reviews of the Dialed Motion leg developer, if you're not familiar with what it is, the winner of product of the show at Home Gym Con was a leg developer, a bench attached leg developer by Dialed Motion. And I'll put a link to this down below because it's going to be the best one you can get for your gym, at least for the time being. And their pre-order stuff is super honest. Like they even tell you, like, we're going to open pre-orders for the site for these specific products on this day to this day. They're going to close on this day, and they actually close on that day. And then we're going to order them, and it's legitimately going to take us 5 months to get this product in, and then it's going to take us a month to get it warehoused and logistically set up to send out. So it's going to be this long before you get, and they're giving you an actual realistic date of how long that pre-order is going to take, because they don't want to just take your money and then hope that you don't cancel. And that's what a lot of these other companies are doing. And Jacked Up Fitness is one where they don't even tell you it's a pre-order. They're just like, give us your money, we'll worry about it later, right? Like I've actually worked for some companies where their rule was take the customer's money, and then if there's a problem, we'll try and figure it out. Not the best way to run a company, and not the best way to run a home gym company. Luckily, the bigger companies like Rep, Rogue typically don't do a ton of pre-orders, although I know Rep's been doing some lately. But that's more like for when Rep does it, that stuff's already on the way in, right? Like they're not waiting to place the manufacturing order for you to get it. They're just giving you an opportunity to get in line so that they don't sell out on the first day that they're here. So whether you like that or not, at least that's somewhat on the up and up, whereas when they're not being honest with you, they're not being honest with you. And I'm not just talking about pre-orders. There's lots of things that are just lies on the website, whether it's weight capacity on stuff, whether it's warranties that they're never going to stand behind. Just be careful of companies who, if it seems like it's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. And look for companies who are being honest and upfront online. And this pairs into my last point, which is return policy. I think that looking at a company's return policy tells you a lot about that company. You don't even need to actually have to return something. And I'm going to give you the same two examples I gave you in the last one. So if you were to look at Rep's return policy, they basically tell you that you have, I believe it's 30 days for any reason. If you don't like it, send it on back. And I can attest that you can send stuff back. And while there may be return shipping fees, like if you're just like, hey, I just don't like it, you got to pay return shipping. They're not going to pay return shipping because you decided you didn't like something. But I've had stuff show up where it's broken and they pay shipping on the exchange because something showed up broken. They take care of their customers. And when you look at their return policy, there's not a ton of fine print, right? There's very little fine print. There's very little caveats and exclusions and things like that. There's just, and you can tell that the exclusions that are there are based on customers who have taken advantage in the past. And having a 30-year background in retail, I can tell you that there are those customers who just absolutely abuse return policies. And unfortunately, you have to have some exclusions in there. But I can tell you also, because Rep Fitness's customer service department is in their headquarters, that you can call them and actually talk to a person and plead your case and say, hey, and they are very reasonable people to deal with. I'm going to throw Jacked Up Fitness under the bus one more time and just look at their return policy. So this is something that I used to see in electronics and appliances a lot, and it's a real tricky thing they'll do. If you look at the Jacked Up Fitness, right in the first paragraph, I believe, it says that the item must be returned in the exact packaging and condition in which it was shipped. And I think that's the exact words. If not, I'm going to put it up on the screen so you can see. And what you'll find is that regardless of what it says for the rest of it, that is a backstop. So I want you to imagine getting something and it has shipping damage. Well, guess what it's not? It is not in the exact packaging and shipping condition that it was when it left their warehouse. And they will fight, like, sorry, it's all beat up, we're not taking it back. And it literally says on there that we can just not take stuff back. Or they're gonna charge you a huge restocking fee, right? They'll charge you return shipping, and they'll charge you a huge restocking fee, and you have to arrange for your own shipping. And if you look through, just go to, I'll put a link down below. Look at Jacked Up Fitness's return policy page. It is crazy. You're never getting your money back. Once you order that thing, you own it, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you don't like it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't fit. It doesn't matter if it's shipped to you damaged. It doesn't matter any of that stuff. You are not getting your money back. You cannot make a return. It's just literally set up to make it as hard as possible for you to be able to have any type of back-end customer service at all. So if you're ever shopping at a website and you're not familiar with who they are, and maybe it's a new company, or it's somebody that you're unsure of, or it's a company that has mixed reviews, a really good litmus test is to just take a look at their returns, their return policy page. Now, another really good clue is if you can't get to their return policy page anywhere on their website, there's like no way to get to it, you literally have to Google that company's name and return policy. And it's like a hidden page. Like, legally you have to have one up there to show what your policies are, but they don't have to make it easy to find. So that's red flag number one. But like I said, if you're looking at a company you're unsure of, just check out their return policy. Read that return policy and see how stringent it is. You can tell, go look at the Bells of Steel return policy, look at the Fringe Sport return policy, look at the Rep Fitness, look at Rogue. Yes, they all have exclusions. They all have return shipping in some cases. They even have restock fees in some cases. But you'll see those are typically reasonable things. And then you'll find companies who are like, here's the 72 different ways we're gonna keep from having to do anything for you if there's a problem. And Jacked Up Fitness definitely falls into that category. Major Fitness falls into that category. There's a lot of companies that fall into that category, and that's something to be really, really concerned with when you're ordering things from a company. So hopefully those are your 10 ways. Hopefully that'll give you guys an idea if you're out there shopping for stuff and you're wondering, am I buying from a good company? Am I not buying from a good company? Now, the easy way is if you order from the big guys, if you order from Rogue, if you order from Rep, if you order from Bells of Steel, if you order from Fringe Sport, if you order from RitFit at this point, some of these bigger companies that get lots of good press and good reviews and things like that, you can be pretty sure that they're going to be a good company. But if you're unsure, hopefully those ways kind of help you figure that stuff out. So that is today's podcast. Hopefully that helped you guys out. And sorry for, like I said, for the long, week and a half without posting anything. But I should be hopefully back up and going. I've got between the Force USA stuff and some other videos I've already shot, I've got probably 10 or 12 videos already shot. I just need to have them edited or edit them myself, and I'll get those out to you guys as soon as possible. It's going to be a little spotty for September. My main priority is getting you guys this Force USA stuff that I shot, and I want to make sure that it is as good as I can possibly make it. So that may mean that I don't do some Fast Fridays for a while, or I may skip a week or two for podcasts here and there. But once September is over, I should be back to my regularly scheduled programming. And then also, if you've watched this long, hopefully that means that you are a fan of the channel, and I want to ask you guys' opinion on something. So I waited till the end to ask this because I know a lot of you watch the first 10 minutes and click off, and those aren't the people I want to ask this. So I find myself in a situation where I'm fat. Let's just put it bluntly. I am fat. I have some health issues that have popped up, and I find myself in this situation yet again. If you followed me since the beginning, you know that this happens to me on and off, and it's on right now. So I was looking at my Force USA videos, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you are gigantic right now. So I probably got about 30 extra pounds on me right now. I've got some medical stuff I need to deal with. I don't want to make excuses. I'm fat and I'm old, but I know what to do about it. And what I'm thinking about doing is starting a second channel. You guys have asked me for training advice. You've asked me for what my programming looks like in my 50s. So what I'm thinking about doing is just doing a GymCrafter training channel, starting the content on that channel with just my journey from right now. I just actually literally this morning, I went and got an RMR test, a resting metabolic rate. I got a DEXA scan, and for the first time in my life, I got a VO2 test, which A, sucks, and B, I failed miserably. So I am, for somebody who does health and fitness for a living, there are a lot of markers of health and fitness right now that are in the toilet for me. So I figured I would start with that journey, show you where I am, how I'm tracking it, what I'm doing. how I'm choosing the programming that I'm doing, how I'm choosing the nutrition that I'm doing. It's stuff that I would do for clients. I just need to do it for myself. So I'm thinking about starting it that way. Not a lot of editing, not a regular posting schedule, just as I get stuff that I think is helpful to other people in the same situation. If you're in your 40s or 50s and you find yourself with some extra pounds, you find yourself getting winded going up extra flights of stairs, you find yourself having trouble sleeping, you find yourself all of a sudden driving through McDonald's for breakfast every morning and getting 2 sausage McMuffins and a large Diet Coke for $5 every morning for 3 months. That was a very specific example, wasn't it? So if you find yourself in those situations, let me know down in the comments if you think that's something that would be worth your time. If it's not going to help anybody, look, it's not a channel I'm looking to monetize. It's not a channel I'm looking to run up subscribers on. It's literally just, I'm doing it anyway, so I figured I would document it. And if it helps enough of you, then it's worth the time to document it and post it. So let me know down below, not only A, if you would like that, but B, stuff you would like to see if you would like it. What would you like to see on a channel like that? So like I said, not a lot of editing, not a lot of crazy stuff, just some raw footage of what I'm actually doing, and hopefully not much me rambling, just a lot of me doing. So anyway, that's enough rambling. And so again, thank you for watching this long. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all your subscribes, likes, shares, all that algorithm stuff. If you haven't done that, get down there and do that right now. And until the next video, I'm Tim with GymCrafter.